Okay, perfect one. We're counted into the intro to the pre-playoffs podcast. We're going to be talking about the teams, the players, mostly just Wooloo Gang. That's going to be the majority of the podcast. And I am Connor, and for our homies today, we have Lokesh, we have Red Lightning, and we have the premier top laner, Fat Cow, or Dane.
Hello. How are we doing?
We are turbo chilling up in this bitch. So, let's just get started. Let's jump right into the podcast.
Right into the news.
A lot of fun stuff to cover. Like everything. It's been like 2 months since we had one of these podcasts.
Alright, so earlier this season, maybe like a month or so ago, Red Lightning and I made a bet during the mid-season podcast. And I ended up losing that bet. So, what's going to happen
Remind
is before...
the stream of the bet.
What's up?
What did the bet? Remind the stream.
So, the bet was to do a live WAP stream with Mr. Fat Cow, where we both sing and dance WAP. And that will happen as the VCU LCS Finals pre-game
opening
show.
Opening ceremony.
Opening ceremony. That is the live
ceremony. Opening ceremony, live WAP stream featuring Fat Cow and Lokesh.
We know the consequences of the bet, but what were you guys betting on?
We were betting on what was it?
It was
mid-season standings.
No, it was week 1 games. We were betting on who could get the most of the week 1 games predicted correctly. That was the WAP bet.
Ah.
The mid-season bet was just, I think it was just like for a random skin, and that was just final standings predictions from mid-season to the end of the regular season.
Which Mr. Red Lightning also won, as you can see on the screen.
Yeah,
predicting correctly almost every team that wasn't his own.
He got the top 6 right.
I'm just saying, for everyone that may or may not disagree with my rankings later, for players, for teams, for any of my analysis, so far, for every team that's not my own, I've nailed it exactly. So, I think my word is just law at this point. It's just final. If I say something, it's obviously true, unless I'm talking about myself. But now that my self-esteem is back in the gutter, obviously, I can predict myself fairly now. So, we're all good.
So I guess we should start with the standings based on your guys' opinion. Then we can go into the final standings. I noticed that Dane does not have one on the stream, and I also notice that it's Bamibi's baskets on the stream, and I think the team is Bambi's baskets, but we'll call them Bamibi's. I think that's fine too.
That's what I feel like, man. I feel like a Bamibi at this point.
We can start off with
like a bonobo.
2D Sim Squad. He's still putting his own team number 2. Where their actual is 5.
The ones he has on the left are like the mid-season predictions, and the one on the right is the final.
Oh, those were mid-season?
Yeah, this was our mid-season podcast predictions.
Oh,
the ones on the screen now.
That's why Danes aren't up here, because the last one would have been Fernie. And pretty accurate. Bamibi's dropped off pretty hard. So I guess we'll just let Lokesh talk first about what he thought and what happened.
So, well, in terms of gameplay in general, Bamibi's baskets never really dropped off. They started from the bottom and they never really left the gutter. So, that's kind of how it is. They're forever 10th place at the moment. But that might change in the gauntlet, where I still believe they might be able to make a decent run. Assuming there isn't a certain amount of beaten by Boris from the team, and there isn't some issues with communication or general gameplay, macro, a lot of mechanical errors. I feel like Bamibi's baskets is good. They just need to work on macro, shot calling, micro, teamwork, communication, objective control, CSing. Pretty much everything, but
we objectively have at least one of those things down.
You guys objectively have one of those things down, and it is maybe not friendship, but we'll just say it might be friendship.
Something. I can't tell you which one.
It's something.
We don't have it pulled up, but I believe Fernie actually put Bambi's baskets a lot lower than you guys did in his mid-season predictions. Who knows? It's in the gutter right now, but Was Fernie the Oracle? Did he know that they
Well-
were not going to rise like the Phoenix?
Fernie also put Wooloo Gang in playoffs, so Fernie
True.
he actually just swapped everywhere we put Bambi's baskets and swapped Wooloo Gang for Bambi's baskets. I'm pretty sure. So he was definitely right about Bambi's baskets, but he was wrong about his own team. So
Yeah,
That
Wooloo
seems to be a
Gang is
recurring
very
theme.
close.
Everyone's just wrong about their own team.
I mean, Mr. Simp for Sanch, bottom 380C, he did say he was going to 2-0 the tiebreakers, and Pooh in the chat has also said the same thing. Turns out they went 0-2 in the tiebreakers, and they're they have solidified themselves at the moment as a very, very middle of the pack 6th place team. So Big Ichi came back from the mountains, from the hyperbolic time chamber, and then he just lost the buff during tiebreakers, and he was just like, fuck it, I'm going to lose every game. I'm going to run it down.
I'm going to argue that it never was really there. The game he won versus us was us throwing more than him winning.
Isn't that
So-
right, Mr. Level 16 Kale, and then lose the game?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you're saying Big Ichi is not the breakout
No, I'm saying we're
top
bad.
3 mid?
We're bad. He's okay.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe we should go back to Red Lightning and ask him what went wrong with his team now. The predicted 7th, stayed at 10th. Playoff streams are still alive with the Gauntlet, but it's definitely looking very rough.
yeah, so it turned out we were kind of bad.
Oh.
So that was pretty much it. I think we just weren't very good. We did manage to beat Gump Squad and Apes together, but Apes beat us in tiebreakers, and then we took the L on our coin flips. So we ended up in 10th place overall, despite technically tying from 7th to 10th. I think all those teams actually tied. So it wasn't like we're just absolutely the worst team or anything, but we definitely didn't do so hot. But we have had a player change. We have had some more time to practice and get our team more together. So Bambi's Baskets is back in action.
Confident going into playoffs.
I'm
Just
a little
looking-
That's a strong word. Confident is not.
I'm
the
a
word I'd
little
use.
worried because even with all the practice y'all have been getting, the same thing was said a couple of months ago, and then you guys continued to lose games. So
Oh yeah, no, we actually haven't gotten any practice. That was sarcasm.
okay,
But you are going against
okay.
Ramley, who's equally struggling. I think they won their first 2 games and then have lost everyone since.
Yeah,
Since.
and I kind of want to make the argument that Bambi's Baskets show signs of life, right? Like they have signs of life. There's moments of brilliance with the team. And then you got Ramley where they win the first 2 games, and then the rest of the season they're just like an ostrich with its head stuck in the dirt because it's scared of fucking something ramming its ass in or some shit. But Ramley's just been looking way, way, way worse than Bambi's Baskets. So in terms of outright team strength, I would rank Bambi's Baskets above Ramley, and honestly probably above Gump Squad as well. Mr. Spencer, Zoe Deschanel did get a Zoe in one of his games and did clap Mr. Youngest Lay on the Lucian. Clapped pretty much everybody, but he hasn't gotten it since, and he has been swapping in between mid and jungle quite a lot. And I feel like there's some internal miscommunications going on in that team. Either that or they're just drunk every time they play. So living up to their name of Gum Squad.
There's definitely a continuing trend of you guys possibly overrating Bambi's Baskets.
Yeah, definitely.
Could it be that they just bust her out in the Gauntlet, end their predicted 10th, and allow Ramley to go on into Gum Squad?
It's very possible. Yes.
It's 50-50. It's hard. Which team will lose or want to lose more?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
see,
that's the
Neither
big
team
thing.
wants to win. Which one's going to want to lose less? Well, whatever team who wants to lose less will win.
I was about to say Bambi's Baskets let me down so many times, but then I remembered that I'm on that team. So I've let myself down so many times now that I'm just conditioned. So at this point, Bambi's Baskets will not be getting any. They will not be overrated. Let me put it this way: they won't be overrated from me anymore for the season. I think I'm taking the opposite tactic. I will underrate Bambi's Baskets in every game we play for the rest of the semester, be it 1 or 40. I don't know if we go. There's a lot of games that you could end up playing in this tournament bracket. So, be it 1 or many, I will always predict them as the underdogs.
Nice.
Most definitely. They're definitely I think Bambi's Baskets might beat out Ramley because I'm just trying to say that Ramley has lost most of their games in sub 25 minutes.
Hey, they
but
finished
Bambi's
quick.
Baskets have held out to at least like 30 minutes on average. So just speaking statistically, that's got to say something about Bambi's Baskets being a little bit better than Ramley.
Legitimately, our best games came against the best teams. We lost them all, but we played better against the teams you see at the top of the top of the standings than we did against the teams that we lost to at the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
like, you guys got shut out by Wooloo Gang in, like, less than 19 minutes, and then you took Monka, Omega, Pepega, Bars for, like, 35 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was 35-40. Same with Rams of Love.
Yeah.
We actually had leads at times against Rams of Love and took it pretty long with them too. So
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like things just fall apart after a certain amount of time. They're just, like, there's, like, no off button for, like, some players. They're just, like, sometimes y'all need to just sit down and chill for a bit, and it just never happens, and, like, y'all take stupid fights, and that's why I think y'all are a little bit better than Ramley, because Ramley just, like, falls flat on their face every 2 seconds.
true.
Now, we understand Bambi's Baskets did not live up to the expectations that we established in the mid-season podcast, but there is another team played on by another player in this call that also did not live up to some expectations, at least by himself.
2D Sim
Look at them,
Squad.
the 2D Sim Squad. Predicted second. I remember that podcast. I love these guys. We can beat any team in the league. This is going to be Freelo. And then
Hey,
the
I didn't
next
say
couple
Freelo.
weeks
I
did
didn't
not
say
treat
Freelo.
you very well. That might be a bit of embellishment, but it is how I felt when you were talking about your team.
I mean,
And then you end
I
up
still
fifth.
love all the guys, and like I think we're a really good team. It's just, I think like a lot of things that happen were just like nerves going in versus teams like Rams and Monka, and like we had like a game plan, and then we never followed the game plan. So like just a bit of like internal struggles halfway in. So yeah, we also did fall flat on our face towards the tail end of the season, but
Also didn't really
at the
play
end of the
anyone.
day, like we all just convened and we realized we just need to play for fun rather than like, you know, just like I don't know, worrying too much about random shit.
A
Just
little
gonna-
too sweaty.
And then we came
What-
back and we fucking clapped Wooloo Gang, so it is what it is.
I want to.
Yeah, but half the teams in the league have done that. What were you saying a second ago, Dane?
Oh, after the podcast, I told them that the big hoopla in the VCU LCS chat that they hadn't played anyone good. Played the bottom side of the teams, like played Apes together, Ramley, like Gum Squad. Maybe not Gum Squad, I forget who, but they played like 4. They're like 5-1 and played like 4 of the bottom teams. So
That
of course
is
he's going to
true.
be high on himself because they're 5-1, look cruising along, and all of a sudden they lose like 3 straight.
I think
And
I
then,
actually had a quote in that mid-season podcast where I said they've only played the bad teams, and my only mistake in my predictions to that point had been predicting that Bambi's Baskets wasn't one of the bad teams. Then I did predict them to go 0-3 and lose out and end up finishing below Forehead, to which every single player on that team did say I was trolling, but I was right. So just gonna put that out there. Toot my own horn a little bit.
Hey,
I still
great
think 2D Sim Squad's
predictions.
I still think 2D Sim Squad is a good team. Don't get me wrong, but
Hey, top 5 is good.
yeah, they looked weaker than I did not think there was any chance of them beating Mop or Rams, and I thought Forehead was the better team.
Indeed.
Nothing
Just a little
wrong
bit of a
with that.
sidetrack. I see there are a lot of people following us on stream. We appreciate the support. Seems like Gross Gore sent y'all.
it seems like there might have been a bit of a troll spam in the chat.
Hey man, follows are follows.
Follows are
Yeah.
follows.
Bring it on. We'll take them. Take what we can get.
I think that's probably enough of the final standing compared to the midseason. I think we've covered all the big discrepancies from the midseason. Mop ended at the top, as everyone predicted. Rams of Love did exceedingly well in their last few games, and Sim Squad fell off. That's basically the only storyline there is. And I
Yeah,
think we're cool to move on.
we can indeed move on to the next slide. Now we have our player rankings with the top lane first. I think it's best if we let Dane start this one since he is our
Oof.
resident top laner.
I gotta put myself first. I feel like no one's really challenged me. Y'all have all played like tanks into me, or unfortunately, we did not get to see the me versus dog matchup. The scheduling just didn't work out. Hopefully, they can win in playoffs so we can actually get a true number one, number two. But I have to go through every player and rank and reasons why, but because a lot of them are just kind of randomly put. What do I want to say? Dog's pretty good. I've enjoyed watching him. His carry. If you're looking for a real carry performance, go look at the his game versus the league ball team. It's a good one. All of the people I don't remember because they are all like Malphite Shen bots, so I kind of just put them in random things. I just put Roland Chang at the bottom because he's not an actual top laner, even though his Alistar is clean. I will say,
God, is Alistar so
can't
good.
disrespect it. Just unfortunately, Malphite is more accustomed to the top lane.
You gotta wonder how high in the rankings Roland Chang's team would be if he was in the support role, because his Alistar is such a carry threat in an untraditional role.
It's better top. It's legitimately better top. So I want to jump in real quick to anyone looking at the rankings. We didn't really point it out, but we did kind of, all of us, there's colors next to the numbers. We kind of put them in tiers because it was kind of, especially in a lot of these roles, it was kind of hard to like differentiate. So this is kind of where we just put people, where we were kind of grouping people together. But also players that are in the lower ranks at the end of the list, I don't think anybody actually played bad this entire semester, like genuinely. So if you end up in like last place, it's not necessarily because we thought you played bad. It just other people played better necessarily. You know, I mean, if you're bronze or you're iron or you're silver, you're more likely to end up below diamond players. That's just how that goes. But you know, that's all we wanted to really point out there. Also, Roland Chang, not last place top laner. His Alistar, he played Alistar against Dog and even farmed with him all game. I'm just saying. And that automatically puts him above some of the other guys on this list, in my opinion.
I believe some would say that Roland Chang is as good as Dog. It's not something that any of us would say, but I'm sure someone may say it. And can we touch on Youngest Lay, the challenger jungler who played a few top lane games, second on Lokesh's list in his highest tier, but doesn't make it there on Dane's list. And Red Lightning doesn't even include him on the list.
Not enough
Yeah.
games.
So it was kind of hard. These guys, both Fat Cow and Lokesh, added people that played like every role basically into every single role. So Youngest Lake constantly swapped around, and so you'll see him on top, you'll see him on mid on their list, and on jungle. I stuck them in the role that I think they performed. Either they played an overwhelming amount of their games on, so if they played like 6 out of 9 games, they're going to be in that role. Or for Youngest Lay's case, I just think he's better in jungle than anywhere else. So I put him in the jungle role here because I think more than likely he'll end up playing that role in playoffs. I don't know that. That's no inside info. It's just kind of what I think. So I ranked him in the jungle, not actually in the top lane. That's why you don't see him on my list.
Well,
Same
there
with
we
Pooh.
go. Lokesh, how about you talk about your list? Youngest Lay is fairly high for yours. Obviously, Dane is at the top, the God King.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
the VCU
Dane-
You don't
LCS.
need to feed my ego anymore, please.
I need to feed Dane's ego just a little bit. Mr. Fat Cow is tall, handsome, and muscular, both in game and out of game, and I have nothing else to say about that. So there you go. There's my bit of feeding Dane's ego for the night. Maybe a little bit more to come later, but there's my bit of feeding Dane's ego. In terms of David, Youngest Lay, I feel like regardless of which role he's playing in, it's pretty much the David show for Rams of Love. Which I think is like it's a little boring for the rest of his players because they're like on like Nunu duty or Orin duty or whatever, and then he's like on like a hyper carry threat. Like he got the Penta on Darius, he turbo smurfed on Lucian top a couple of games. He played a really good Zed game. He also played Olaf with a Lulu mid. But yeah, I mean he's in the mid lane in the jungle, I think. But yeah, like I mean, he just consistently performed well in every role he's played, and I think the only time he's lost was against Spencer Zoe and against Regidice in the jungle. So yeah,
Classic Regidice.
I don't have enough of data to put him super high. Like, yeah, he's fourth. Like, he's in the top. Like, mainly because he had a good Lucian game, he had a nice Darius game, but since he's been swapping around enough, it's hard to put him higher.
I would put Pooh higher than Charlie if it weren't for the fact that Pooh played like probably 2 or 3 games top lane total,
and those came in your tiebreakers as well.
Yeah, those came in our tiebreakers. So, and I think our very first game he played top lane, or did he play mid? I don't remember, but yeah, he played like 2 or 3 games.
I think he only played
2
one.
games top lane. He played.
Did the game against me actually count in the?
Yes,
yeah, I
he
think
played Braum
one...
top. You know, honestly, for him playing Braum top, I should have put him above you.
That game means nothing. That game was a troll game, so I only rank his Mordekaiser game, where he did look super good in that game. He did kind of whoop up on Proxy, who I have really high on the list, but I'm just not putting Pooh on the list because he just didn't play. He only played 1 game top, and you got to play more than 1 game to. Or I'm going to put you. He played the entire season at ADC basically, except for his 1 mid game where he did get clapped by Lord Wisher. I think it was Wisher. So I'm not putting him.
Brand was playing Yone into Lissandra. That's like a pretty unwinnable matchup for Lissandra, I think.
It's definitely true. I don't hold it against him. I would have run it down harder against Yone.
I mean, yeah, it's just I think Charlie being where he is, like given the circumstances of Bambi's baskets, I think he was the best performing member of that team, like consistently and throughout the entire season. And I feel like he's just been getting let down all the time. So I feel a little bad for him. I did rank Proxy way lower than you, Tristan. I just think that, I mean, he's kind of a glorified Shenbot at this point, and he's gotten clapped by multiple people in the top lane.
Yeah,
being one of them. Pooh's up like 60 or 70 CS on Mordekaiser, and like in that game, like it was just an island. It was an island in the top lane, straight up.
Pooh did
like,
clap Proxy.
Straight clapped by Shane.
To be fair to Proxy, he was playing Shen in the Mordekaiser, which is like historically a very unfavorable matchup for Shen. But yes, he did play pretty bad in that game. Most of why I have Proxy up high is I think honestly more than Big Ichi actually. I think him coming on to Wulu Gang was like the bigger part of them coming from like the 10th place team to like the 6th place team. I think Proxy just being able to actually lock in Shen and play it at like a good level, like I think he played it above a gold level. You know, I mean I don't think he played like diamond or anything, but I think he played his Shen above his rank, and you know it gave Wulu Gang a chance to actually let Big Ichi like carry, because beforehand they had Kaiser Overlord, who, you know, I don't actually think played like terrible necessarily, but he only locked carries in the top lane, and if you're a gold player playing against a diamond player and you lock in Irelia, you're gonna have a really hard time most games, because if you just can't straight up just beat that diamond player in lane and get a big advantage, your Irelia is useless. Whereas Proxy was, I think out of all the players that just kind of like permalock tanks, I think he did the best job.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I have him.
No,
I have him pretty high.
I mean, I'm not argue with that. I might have made a slight mistake. I think my own top laner, considering he was off-roll to the top lane, playing Shen, Mordekaiser, like Ornn every single game, I think he did way better on top lane than Proxy did as a higher elo player. So, like, I feel like Unearthly Narwhal deserves to be above Proxy in my list.
I think Unearthly Narwhal did play pretty good, but I do think we see. I could definitely tell you your team is the friendship team because I think I have historically seen your team. I think you and the rest of your team rate themselves very highly. I think there might be a little of team bias on that team.
Because I love my boys.
And I have no problem with it, but I do think Unearthly Narwhal played super good. But I don't think he played his role better than Proxy. So he's below him on my list.
Tease what tease. Shall we move on to the jungle rankings, boys?
Yeah, apparently no one likes top lane.
Yeah, let's move on
Fuck
to the jungle
y'all.
rankings. The
Yeah.
chat is raging.
Top lane was the clearest, like, in my opinion, was like the clearest, like, tier list, kind of. At least at the top. Like, we all put Fat Cal number 1, and we all had, like, Dog number 2, basically, or Youngest Slay and Dog, like, 2, 3. So, after that, it got a little bit interesting, but the top of it was so solidified. I think jungle was really hard to rank, just to go right away. I thought this was, like, very tough at the middle of the rankings, outside of 1 and 2.
It really was, and I just want to start this off by saying we don't really need to talk about Regidice since he was, like, turbo smurfing every game, but, you know, refresh for fixed colors. Alright, I shall refresh for fixed colors.
Yeah, my rankings apparently have gotten lost in translation a little bit.
Alright, there we go. We've refreshed for the correct colors. Thank you very much, Mr. Carouse. But yeah, I think, I just want to start this off by saying Sodalist and Bambi Cinder, how disappointed I am in their performance this season.
Oof.
Yeah, not the greatest showing from either of them. I thought Ben played pretty good in some games, but there are definitely some yikes games in there as well.
Connor, stop this man before he murders my boys.
So
Yeah, I gotta
Sodalist
say
and
the
Bambi
truth,
Cinder,
though.
I just want to say the first few games of Wooloo Gang of Graves Lee Sin consistently being lowest kill participation, lowest KDA on the team, just overall like one of the poorest performing members if it weren't for Kaiser Overlord 02 running it down on Akali and Irelia in the top lane. He just wasn't. Didn't really find his stride until he decided to switch over to a more supportive role, playing things like Sejuani in conjunction with Mr. Big Ichi, where he was able to like support sort of a carry threat in the mid lane. He didn't really find his stride, and then you see he like anytime he like goes back to like a carry champion, it's like a lot rougher for Wooloo Gang. So he hasn't been performing that well. Although he did do okay towards the tail end of the season. And then Bambi Cinder in the jungle. Not too sure what happened here. He was one of the best performing junglers in previous season VCU LCS, but again, could be attributed to some beaten by Boris. We did see a Wits End Graves coming out of Bambi Cinder. We also saw a Wits End set against a Man-immune full lethality Senna that had 12 kills. So there's a bit of beaten by Boris. There's a bit of mechanical misplays. There's a bit of communication and communication errors maybe coming out from Bambi Cinder. Like, I'm not too sure what happened there, but
It's hard to tell from someone being not on the team.
Right, exactly.
Not knowing what the comms are, not knowing what's going on. In the game you played against the game he played against me, I played Jackson. It was not a fun time for him. It was not a great showing. He got out-jumbled by my 4G, who's been playing out of his mind
4G's
on
a
the
beast.
new.
4G's a fucking beast. I'll give
I don't
you
know
that.
why
I
he's
think
seventh.
he's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why you put him 7th. He out-jungled literally Ben and Josh and Bambi.
I mean, like I said, I thought the jungle rankings were really hard. Out of every single role, like I don't think anyone played I don't think any of these players played bad at all. I could actually hear an argument for like any of these guys, especially 6 through 10, being anywhere in that order. And honestly, even honestly 3 through 10, like it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think Gragas Opa, he's at my 10th of my list. I don't think Gragas Opa played bad at all. I think he had games where he looked really, really good. Same with Jordan Clementine. I think both of those guys looked really good at times. It's just hard to rank these guys because all the junglers had some good games and some bad games. 4G would get higher on my list. I think he does what he needs to do in the jungle really well. His champ pool is just really limited. I mean, he's just a Nunu bot, basically. And he fills that out pretty good, but it's basically all we've seen.
I
Whereas
100% agree.
Yeah, and the guys above him have at least a little bit more like versatility. Even if his Nunu might have been sometimes more successful than what they were bringing out, at least they've shown some other stuff, so you have to be worried about it.
Yeah, and I just want to talk a little bit about the bottom of the standings. For Gragas Opa and Jordan Clementine, again, I think they played fine considering the circumstances. For Jordan Clementine, I just feel like it was hard for him to play through literally any lane, and he kind of made the best out of a bad situation each time, but I mean, I don't blame him when every lane is just like turbo losing in Ramley minus Elvin's lane. And then Gragas Opa, again, same concept minus dog. So there is that. Kolma, I think Kolma is sort of like the dark horse jungler of the tournament. I feel like he would be ranked higher if he had better showings on not Olaf.
He'd be ranked higher if he wasn't playing. If the guys above him weren't Regidice and Youngest Lay, like just straight up.
And Josh.
I mean,
Josh in the jungle was
I think Josh looked really, really good in the jungle. It's really hard to move up when his Olaf games were all really good. He played super good not all, but most of them were really, really good. He played super good this tournament, and people just kept leaving his Olaf up, so he just kept picking it, so that's really good for him. I'd like to see some more stuff from him, same with 4G, but I think he was a bit more successful at being a carry on this team. But you're not going to get much higher than 4th when 1 and 2 are taken up by Regidice and Youngest Lay. Nobody's going to crack that top 2. So
I'm sorry, I'm honestly, just reading the chat right now, and I'm just laughing because oh my god, Dane, your CSL career is at stake.
It's fine. It's
sure,
fine.
I'll fucking run it, dude. I have power here too.
But like I said, the tiers are kind of where I kind of thought about them mostly for jungle because, and even then I think you could realistically make an argument for 3 through 10 any of these guys based on what their expectations were. Everybody had good games, everybody had bad games. I think jungle was super stacked to this game. The lowest ranked player is gold 4 in jungle, whereas in other roles we had iron guys. So jungle was just really, really, really stacked in this VCU LCS from top to bottom. Had the 2 highest rated players in the tournament and had the highest low end of the entire tournament as well. So
yeah,
very true.
Hard to stand out in the jungle. Hard to stand out.
I also want to stroke Josh's ego just a little bit because I do see he is in the chat. He is tipping on the edge of Diamond 2. He's currently in his promos to Diamond 2 as jungle. He's exclusively playing jungle, secondary support, tipping on the edge of Diamond 2. This man has been popping off, and I think he's going to peak on jungle. I think he's a really, really good jungler.
Maybe he'd get higher rated on my list if he helped boost me back to Diamond. But that's fine. That's fine.
Only 1 day left to get boosted back to Diamond.
Nah, dude, I gave up on that
night.
shit. I failed my Plat 3 promos 3 times yesterday, and I demoted out of Plat 2 promos 3 times yesterday, and I demoted out of Plat 2 3 times total in the past 2 days. So I've given up. I have given up.
So I think that is the jungle rankings. Very difficult to break into that top 2. Regidice and Youngest Lay, highest ranked, probably the best 2 players playing. And I think we should move on to mid lane.
Mid lane. Red Lightning, I do want to ask, why have you put Equivalent in 6th place?
Yeah, it's just that, like I said, it's just the tier right there for me mostly, between 3 through 6. I think Equivalent could go higher. I think he probably should go higher than me, actually, on this list if I'm redoing it right this second. I think he had better performances. He definitely clap me in our game against each other. To be fair, he did have Regidice playing in my butt, so it was a tough lane. And most of the reason I put it down there, he looked really good. I think he's benefited a lot from being on Team Mop. I think every player benefited from being on Team Mop. I think that team is just insane. And his laning and playing around Regidice was really, really good throughout the tournament. But outside of like past 20 minutes, his team fighting, I found a little bit questionable. But like I said, I'd probably move him up to 5 and me down to 6 if I'm redoing this right now. But like I said, that tier right there between 3 through 6, I think you could put them anywhere. I think Allison had some really good games, but he also had some pretty int ones. He went 1-1 against Big Ichi, and he looked pretty bad in his first one, but then he played Ryze into Lucian and just actually solo killed him in the second game, so that's good.
Speaking of Big Ichi, you also put Big Ichi in 3rd, which is higher than the other two by significant margins.
Yeah, I think he played pretty good. I mean, just straight up, I think he came into the team. He definitely is not a contender for first place. He got clapped by Lokesh in their tiebreaker game. He had a hard time against Allison in their second matchup.
He also got clapped by Wisher.
He did get clapped by Witcher on his Lulu mid, and he played Lulu mid, so like that's, I'll play against that. But he did look really, really good in the first matchup against Allison, and he looked good in all of Wooloo Gang's games that were the ones I didn't say. He did miss the first 3, so I hold that against him as well, but I don't think anybody else showed anything better than he did. And you guys both have...
I would disagree with that. Like, he had some good games, but I feel like the consistency isn't there.
Yeah,
also,
that's like my biggest reasoning.
First 3 games, also not good.
Fat Cow putting Lake Wash at 7.
I'm just a
Red Lightning at 8. Let's talk about that. That sounds like some anti-caster bias here.
I hate 2D Sim Squad, all of them.
Why? What did I do to you, Dane? That's amazing.
Just for the fact of the drama
I gave you drinks, man. What the fuck?
Just for the mid-season podcast beef we had. It's carried over through all the years, and I will not forget.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Even though I gave you top spot for fucking goddamn...
You had to. There's no other option.
Dude, I can change it. I can put you below Roland Shank,
to make this happen.
Wow. Well,
it is what it is. I don't really care.
I think Lake Wash at 7 is pretty troll. I think Lokesh here had too many pop-off games where he just absolutely clapped and took over games and was 15-1 or 16-3 or something crazy. I'm just making up numbers here, but I don't remember them exactly, obviously. But he had a lot of games where he's in double-digit kills with 1 or 2 deaths and is absolutely just running people over. One of his last games that he played was his Yone against Big Ichi, who's also, high-ranked mid laner, and beforehand looked like he was an actual contender for, I think he was probably, I had him always below Wisher, but he looked like an actual contender for at least 2nd. But Lokesh really clapped him in a matchup where it's not favored for him or anything, in the Yone versus Akali matchup. So that looked really good, and I think you have to put him pretty high. Allison's biggest thing was his champ pool. He showed that he could take Ryze and beat Lucian with it, so that was pretty cool, but he still has only basically played Ryze and Orianna, I think 1 game on Xerath. And I think his champ pool suffers because of that. People don't even ban his champs at all. They just let them all go through because they basically just know what he's going to pick before the game starts, and they know they're going to get counterpicked no matter what. Even if he picks after them, he's just going to counter himself with the pick if they pick right. So
yeah, but he has been playing really well on.
He has played really good, but I don't think he played better than the guys I have above him. And I think his champ pool, even if he played as good as them, I think his champ pool takes it a little bit lower. The guy I was most disappointed in actually was Vice. Vice, his first 2 games where Ramley won, Vice was just clapping. He was going off so hard. His Galio, he's playing Galio and 1v3ing guys on Galio and killing all 3 people. And he's running around the map, one-shotting everyone, getting super fed, just destroying, solo carrying these games from a pick that's more traditionally like a supportive kind of mid laner. And he was just going off on it. His first 2 games looked awesome. Every other game after that, average at best. And I really mean at best, because he had some pretty bad ones. So I think Vice ended up getting. He was my biggest kind of disappointment here. And then I will mention, I have Per Circle on this list. We all do, but he's like conditional. I think he only played like 1 game mid, so that I just kind of had to put somebody there because I stuck David in jungle. That team changed up the roles a whole lot, and they had subs throughout the year, like a lot. That was the sub team I had problems with at the beginning of the season for subbing out a new player for a higher ranked player every game they played in like the first half. So
yeah, I mean, like
it was kind of tough. I had to put him somewhere though.
There was like just like different roles every game, so it was like hard to do Rams of Love in general. But yeah. I think I'm just really still confused as to why Equivalent's 6th place, because like he plays waves really well. He has really good mechanics. He knows when to trade. He plays really well with his jungler. I'm just so confused as to why he's 6th place for you. Still.
Like I said, I'd put him 5th. Like I said, I put myself over him, but being realistic here, I think he played like 5th place. I don't think he played better than Big Ichi or Allison or you, and certainly not Wisher. So I'd put him 5th over me, and I think that's where he goes.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. He can't feel too sad. He got 2nd place on both of your lists. It's fine.
Dane, did you touch on why you put Red Lightning in 8th place, the lowest he's been on this list too, right below Lokesh? It seems like you might have take the other 2 people on this panel and group them together at the bottom end of the tier list.
Maybe.
Only put us above the guys that didn't even play mid hardly.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of the way to go. I don't know. I'm just putting things around. I just was really annoyed with Vice Lele's Fiora, so I don't know why I put him so high. On second thought, I don't remember his other games.
Is it time to retroactively put Vice Lele in 12th place?
No, I think I'm going to move Lake Wash and Red Lightning up, each up 1, maybe 2, depending. I think, okay, here's going to be my little, I'm going to redo my yellow tier list here. I'm going to put Lake Wash 5, Big Ichi at 6, Red Lightning at 7, and Vice Lele at 8.
It's a little more acceptable.
We've gotten the honest tier list. And I think that's also it for mid laners. Now that we've gotten Dane to change his tier list for the better.
And also 2 Jokers underrated. We didn't go over him. He's underrated. He just like everyone else is too damn good.
2 Jokers played good. I definitely do agree with that.
It's hard to watch a game and say, oh, he played bad.
I think in some of his early games, especially, he was playing TF, like nerfed TF, and like getting leads against players that were better than him. Not necessarily like solo killing them, but just working the map and getting ahead in situations where he should have had a much harder time. Honest to God, the biggest thing I held against him was that when we played his team in their first game, he got clapped. So, and if you're getting clapped by me, you go to the bottom. That's just how that works.
And the bottom is where he is on all of your tier lists in each of your bottom possible tiers.
But also mid lane is stacked, so don't feel bad.
Mid lane is very
definitely
stacked.
not. Definitely not. Definitely don't feel bad. Like I said, I don't think anybody should actually. I think there are some high elo players that might feel bad that they moved down to like the mid to bottom half areas of the list. But I don't think any of the low elo players should feel bad. I can't think of a single like low elo player that I think underperformed this tournament. I think they all played at least to their rank, if not better. So, kudos to all of them.
All right, and I think next would be ADC, if I understand the order correctly.
Should be. Personally, I think ADC is like kind of difficult to rank because that's such a support dependent role. So take this with a grain of salt, if you will. But usually, like towards the bottom end of the standings, it has to do with like issues with positioning, bit of beaten by Boris, maybe some over-aggression, taking fights when you're not supposed to. But I think we're all under the consensus that Bayoraga and 9IQ player take the top spots.
Actually, it's Kim, by far.
Yeah, Kim's the best ADC.
Kim is MVP, actually. No, you're right. Bayoraga was insane this tournament. I think he was easily the best ADC. It's not really super close. And 9 IQ was right there. I think they both played really good, but Balrauga was just a clear step ahead. I think him and Wisher were honestly. I think all of the league ball team was good, but I think him and Wisher were the clear
Standouts.
yeah. And they're playing in the main carry roles, and they looked like carry players in almost all their games. And usually, at least one of them was having a carry performance if the other one wasn't. So it wasn't always enough to win the game necessarily, but one of them was always doing well and always playing like the carry that he should be. So good performance there.
So
we have our top tiers. We have Balraga. We have 9 IQ player. But I'd like Red Lightning to talk about Sly Brad.
Then it goes a little off the rails for literally everyone.
I think Sly Brad played pretty good. I think him and Glue Sniffer were actually a really good bot lane. I think they were the best part of Gum Squad. Maybe only best part of Gum Squad. I think a lot of Sly Brad looking good probably was from Glue Sniffer.
I think that's the biggest thing. I ranked him really low. I don't think he played that well in the tournament. I think a lot of what he did was off the back of Miles just turbo smurfing in a lot
It's
of the
true,
games.
but if you still, I think Miles might have enabled him to play good, but I think that still meant he played good. So he still got ranked up top for me, even if, like I said, with a worse support performance, he might have dropped like precipitously, might have dropped really far. But with a good support, I mean, you can have a really good support and still look bad, but he didn't, in my opinion.
But I mean, it's still like of the idea. I shouldn't say the idea, but like it's just a fact that support dictates the lane and bot lane, right? So like I think like with how much Miles was able to do for him, he didn't perform as well as he was expected to. Like I can give an example. When we played Gump Squad, every time I would try to like jump on Sly Brad, Miles would immediately be like, okay, Nami ult into bubble, and like we'll just CC this Camille to death immediately. Like every single time. Like I feel like him being able to play the game is like strictly off the back of Miles, just like being extremely, extremely good at what he does.
And for the other two players, Lokesh and Fat Cow, you guys put your own ADCs to occupy the number 3 slots, Marcus the Wajan and Pooh.
Yeah, they're
I'll
trolling.
let Dane talk about it first.
You gotta support the boys. Dude, Marcus has been doing good. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, he doesn't have like the pop-off games, but he's been very consistent for us. And that's better than I can say for most of these people.
Yeah, I agree. Marcus was very consistent. It's just, again, ADC rankings were really hard to do. I just didn't know where to exactly put Marcus. He was probably like the most difficult, the most like biggest difficulty I had. It's just I'm like a little surprised as to why Pooh is 6th for both of you guys, because well, one,
let me repeat.
He doesn't really get
Squad.
He doesn't get kills in lane, but he's consistently up like 50 to 60 CS on his lane opponent. He's really good on the damage charts every single game. Positioning is really excellent. He kites well. He's got decent mechanics. He rarely ever dies. He's like really he's like consistently good. So like that's like a huge surprise for me as to like why Pooh is like 6th for both of you guys.
I honestly don't remember Top Dog playing. I don't remember a single game of his. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure he clapped Pooh.
Who clapped Pooh?
I think Top Dog clapped Pooh. I'm pretty sure.
Pooh was ahead in CS in that lane. It's just I got clapped by Regidice and equivalent. So
yeah,
it was a mid diff that game. It was like a turbo mid diff that game.
Perhaps, but I mean I don't know. Pooh got lower for me. I think everybody above him just played better. I mean, just straight up. I don't think Pooh played bad by any means, but that bot lane just didn't. I don't think bot lane was winning the games for that team. If anything, I feel like bot lane was the weak link on 2D Sim Squad. I think it was a lot of mid jungle carries. So,
I mean, I feel like they're
super
consistent. I think you're selling them a little bit short.
I think Pooh played pretty good. I think, like I said, I don't think he was bad by any means.
Getting carried by Cruz.
I just don't think he was worse than any of the guys. I don't think he was better than any of the guys above him. That's pretty much it. So that's as high as he can really get. I think that your ranking at 3 is some 2D Simp squad bias. I think Dane is also having the same problem up there with Marcus. I love Marcus. He's a great guy. I don't think he played at number 3. Not particularly close. I think Marcus, he definitely didn't have like bad performances and was running it down or anything like that, but he also never stood out in like a single game, I don't think. Even in their wins, never looked great. Never had like standout carry performances, and he's playing ADC, so that's kind of where you need to be the standout carry. Wagner played pretty good on Rams of Love, all things considered. He had a really good team around him, so it helps, but still he has to manage to actually play the game, and he managed to be successful in more games than I think he should have been. Let me put it that way. I think he had more games where he actually got kills, actually got strong, and had impact on the game, where his impact was disproportional to his rank. And then when it comes down to the bottom of the list, Jay Steiny and Bode Kinkajou. Jay Steiny switched roles a couple of times, switched all over the place. He played support, ADC, top lane, so it was a little bit tough. And he was laning with the lowest rank support. I don't think Kian played bad at all. Scandalous Beach House played bad, but he was laning with the lowest ranked support, and ADC is not his primary role, so I think he just had a hard time playing that lane in general, and we kind of played away from bot lane, so that's why he gets so low. And Bode Kinkajou, I don't think played bad either necessarily, but Ramley just didn't look super good.
I feel like Bode Kinkajou did actually play pretty badly. Like, his positioning was off. He just beaten by Boris every single game. But in his defense, he was laning with Eric's P. So do have to take that into account. Again, ADC is very dependent on support matchup, but I'm saying out of lane, just like general game sense and game knowledge just kind of wasn't there.
Yes, you are right. We are not here to tear down people. We are here to build them up people. So let's talk about someone who's improved over the course of the season, like maybe bottom 3 ADC.
So glad you said it. Also, I'm pretty sure I remember bottom 3 ADC putting the hurt on Pooh and Karuz down there. They still lost that game, but I believe that was before Big Ichi and Proxy joined the team, and they actually didn't get super Omega clapped by 2D Sim Squad. They managed to last at least to 30 minutes. So that was really impressive for the narrative's changed a lot because Big Ichi and Proxy came in and made that team competitive. But that team was literally just getting steamrolled every game, pre 20-minute just steamrolled. And he actually honestly he was the only person that looked decent on that team, which is crazy. But in the pre Big Ichi times, he was I think he legitimately was the standout member. I think
he was. I agree with that.
He looked good. He had some games where he didn't look good. I mean,
of course.
I think
everyone does.
I think he got picked higher than he probably should have in the draft. And he started this semester in silver. So he's a silver ADC, but he definitely played much, much better than a silver ADC. I think he earned his. Yeah, I think he earned his spot over everyone on the list below him, including guys that are higher ranks than him. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mr. Top 2 ADC VCU's rise from the ashes was definitely a fun storyline to follow. It wasn't looking good earlier in the season, but he has played really well. I think his mechanics are good. He positions pretty well in fights. He lanes decently well. He fights above what his rank would say, right? And I think that's the biggest thing for the Wooloo Gang ADC down in the bot lane. I don't really have much else to say about him. I think he's playing pretty well.
Yeah,
He did get a penta on Cassiopeia, so he did show he can play both regular marksmen as well as mages in the bot lane. So that is a huge plus. That's very, very rare in the tournament. I think only one other player did that. Bayoraga did play Syndra bot a couple of games, and he did well on those. But aside from Bayoraga, I think he's the only person who actually played mages in the bot.
Also, Unearthly Narwhal only played one game at ADC?
Two.
And I think he looked good, but those were those your tiebreaker games?
Those were our tiebreaker games, yeah.
Yeah, and so you clapped Wooloo Gang, which was really good. And he played good in that game, and then one was a troll game, so I don't really take any stock into that, which is why he's not on my list at all. And I don't think he looked. I don't think that bot lane looked any different than it did when Pooh was in it when they swapped. I think Pooh looked better top lane than Unearthly Narwhal did in the one game sample size that we have. For all that actually says. But I don't think he looked any different than Pooh. And like I said, I already think you have Pooh ranked too high. So I think Unearthly Narwhal is probably too high on your list also.
They deserve it. They're my boys.
I think we got some caster bias in these ADC. It really didn't show until right here, and now it's out in force.
I think the only unbiased pick was himself. Lokesh put himself a little bit below where you guys put him.
True.
And that's just the humble team captain that he is.
I ain't team captain.
He's actually
Josh
not even
is
the
team captain.
Oh. Well, there you go.
My team's carrying me.
There we
They're
go.
too fucking good, and I love my boys.
I put him way lower than he put himself.
True.
Oh, true.
They put him in 7th.
But that's different.
Dane had some beef with me, bro.
Yeah, Dane had beef.
Dane
These
had
rankings
beef,
are corrupted.
and I didn't even realize we had beef. But
For all
apparently
the
we had
hate-
beef.
For all the hate in the chat over my rankings, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's legitimately not just ranking people based on their beef or whether they're on my team or not.
It's just 2D Sim Squad that I've ranked on beef.
Okay, Dane. Okay.
Every other team has been analyzed deeply and critically.
If we
And I've
throw
come to
round
this-
1 playoff games versus you guys, will you get rid of the beef?
What?
Will you remove the beef if we throw the round 1 playoff games against
No,
you
that's-
guys?
I'm also for competitive integrity,
Oh, okay.
so there'll be more
Yeah,
beef.
yeah, get out of here.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's finish it out with the supports. Let's round this out.
Yes, please.
All right. Top 3 look pretty similar for all of us. Ryan at the top. Dude, Karen's a beast. I have nothing else to say about Karen.
Agreed. You guys sleeping on Glue Sniffer too. I mean, you put him at 3 instead of 2, which isn't a big change, but I think he played.
He played monstrously well.
Yeah, no, I think he played super good on a team that wasn't super good. But I do think far up and away, Orion was just the best support. She just played really good, and I think when you're a good support, it looks even better when you have a team that's as good as you are. So I think that's part of the reason she stood out so much. She stood out so much because she was actually supporting like a full. I think Mop, their elo is just dumb. Like they just have their elo is just so much higher than every other team, and the quality of players on that team is just really good. So when you have a support that actually knows what they're doing like really well, it looks even better because these players know exactly what to do with the buffs, shields, heals, crowd control, whatever she's offering to them. They know actually how to use it. I think that's a little bit of the problem that Glue Sniffer ran into. His Zillion was awesome. He had some great bar games. He had just a lot of good games in general, but he was just working with a lot less.
I feel like he was a standout player on Gum Squad. Like, despite the situations, if Gum Squad were in the game, it was due to Miles. Like, he was a monster. Like, every single game they played. So, like, I feel like my only reasoning for ranking him 3rd instead of 2nd is just the fact that Gum Squad kind of, like took a big turd in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was in a harder situation than Blue Ches or Orion, and I think that harder situation put him above Blue Ches, but I think Orion just looked. I mean, it's just impossible to argue that either of those guys played better than Orion. I mean, Karen just played super good.
Karen's a beast,
and it really showed. I mean, that bot lane overall looked great, and when you've got a player like Regidice who took a lot of these carry performances into his own hands, I mean, just basically picked Hecarim, felt like every game.
And then having that extra support system.
Yeah,
impressive.
just couldn't kill him.
Let's move on to like the middle of the standings. Blueski, Karuz, Albitalia for me. Blueski, Albitalia is like in the same place for you guys. Why have you guys put Sax Muffin above my boy Karuz?
Play better?
Oh, that's cap. That's straight cap. That's straight cap.
No, it's not. I mean, I think Karuz did pretty good. He was one of the lowest ranked players for the tournament, and he played really good. I think he played better than his rank, and he also makes these wonderful, beautiful slides you see before you. Karuz, hardest working guy at VCU, greatest guy at VCU.
I love Karuz.
Just not the greatest support, unfortunately.
Yeah, just
He's
unfortunately,
solid.
he just wasn't the best support. He was the 7th best support, which I think is still good. It put him above other supports that are at similar to slightly higher ranks. So good for
Yeah,
him.
Now,
He's definitely more consistent than the people
I
below
def-
him that I've put on.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with Lokesh's ranking with him over Albataya and Sax Muffin. I don't.
Yeah, that's.
I think Albataya especially. I
Sax
think.
Muffin and Cruz. I don't really remember a lot of Sax Muffin games, but that's also a good thing. Since I don't remember him running it down.
Yeah, but I
Who's
mean,
your
he
guys'
was part of
ranking?
that bot lane. He was part of the bot lane with bottom 3 ADC, and they both. I think they both played good. I don't think bottom 3 ADC could have been that good without Sax Muffin's help, and I think that vice versa. I think bottom 3 ADC helped make Sax Muffin look good as well. I think they both synergized really well together, and made that bot lane better than it should have been for what elo it was. And then Albataya just played actually like really good.
No,
And
she was really good.
I think
She's
he's just
also
a much.
really good at the communication. Like she
Yeah,
runs a lot
definitely.
of the early game communication, and which is really important for team-based game we're in. So it's hard to come by, and I don't feel like a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I think Mary's a beast, and she definitely should be higher than Caruze, I think. Like I said, not discounting Caruze by any means, but I think she played a lot better, and her team did better. So, that's it.
I'm gonna say Cruz and Saxman are probably interchangeable here. That's why I put them in the same category.
Ooh, Caruze agrees. I'd put myself 7th. Albataya is better than me. Thanks, buddy. Like I said, no shade.
Honesty.
Roland Chang never played support this entire season. That's why he's not on the.
That's
Yeah,
why
he was
he's
top the
not
whole
number.
time.
That's why Ryan got a free pass.
Yeah, dude. Otherwise,
But-
Roland Chang would
number
be
one
best
spot.
support.
he is a supportive friend and teammate in the top lane, and I think that gives him an honorary number 1 spot on its own.
There you
He
go.
is He's supportive. Yeah, there you go. I like it.
There you go.
Best Alistair in the tournament. Doesn't have
Now-
to play support for that to be true.
The support rankings seem, apart from Glue Sniffer, to more closely line up with the actual team standings than the other roles.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah,
Could that be because that is where they actually lie, or because supports are more difficult to rank? And
Supports are just what if you have a good support, it just means you're a better team.
It's true. It's just
Support-
true.
support
That's a
diff.
fact. I
Yeah,
mean, support. It's a lot of support diff. It's like jungle support. Like maybe mid.
it's hard. It's hard to always see the support's impact on the game. Unless a support, like if a support's not running it down in lane, basically, or not like making crazy outplays in lane, it's a lot of times hard to see their impact. But I think you can just look at the success of like the bot lanes in general, and that's kind of where you can kind of see the supports in their lane phase, and then just outside of it, I mean, I think Blue Sniffer, like I said, that's the biggest like. I think he had to play extra good to get up to 2nd with how his team played, because if you're not supporting people that are going to use what you're giving them very well, it's really hard to support. So I think they're getting, once again, I think the supports, most of these supports are getting boosted by the fact that their team is good and knows how to use the supportive skills that they're using on them, and their team is good because they're getting good support play. I think it's both.
now I think we can pull the excerpt there from Red Lightning, clip it, and ship it. I think most supports are boosted because of their team. Great line to end the supports off on. And is there another slide post the support rankings?
Oh, I do want to touch really quick. I saw some people calling me out for Eric's P and Scandalous P chops, not putting Eric's P last. I think the only reason I did that, Kian, Scandalous P chops, I think he did a pretty good job. I think he did as good as he could with the situation he was given, but he had to play some games. He was buying Misfortune and then playing her for the first time as a lethality Misfortune support for the first time on some of these games, and had a game where he played Lulu and did 300 damage in a 45-minute long game. So that's the only, and like I said, I don't blame him for that. He doesn't play any of these champs. He's not a support.
He's a mid laner
And-
at the end of the day. He's
Yeah,
an Anivia main at heart. He's Red Lightning light.
Yeah,
but,
he's
just
an
like-
iron. He's an iron mid laner, and he was off-rolled. He was forced to buy champions like the day we're playing his first game on them on stream. So that's that. So I think he had the lowest performance out of any of the supports. But like I said, I'm not trying to hold that against him. I think he played just fine for the situation he was put into. And then he also dropped out of the tournament. So,
What are you
Eric-
gonna do?
Eric's P goes ahead because she's still here.
You lose. Scandalous Porkchop does lose some points upon dropping out of the tournament. I think it's time to move on to what I believe are the pre-playoff power rankings or all pro.
These are our all-pro teams, basically whoever got first in our positional rankings, and they're all the same. I don't really know if we need to talk about this.
Yeah, what do you guys want to argue about here? I think that Wisher is actually even better than all-pro first team. He's just even, I mean, we all have the same rankings.
Wisher
I
does
mean,
not
what I
need
think
the
is Big
ego
Ichi
stroke.
should definitely be in the first all-pro team because Wisher is trash.
True.
Yeah, dude, just a Big Ichi diff.
Put
Too
Big
good of a
Ichi
video
back in
game.
here. I can't. I'm sorry, Big Ichi, but I'm not going to be able to get the images of you just getting clapped by Lokesh and Allison out of my minds. So, sorry. You won't. No matter how good you play in playoffs, you will finish behind them, or at
Yeah.
least behind Wisher.
Not much to disagree with here. There are definitely some clear number ones in the league right now. I don't think it would be too much of a crime to just move on to the MVP.
Yeah. Regidice is definitely the MVP. I mean, just played the best. He played against Youngest Lay in the exact same position. They both played jungle against each other. Regidice just looked better. It is a team game, so I'm not just saying that Regidice is just a better player or a better jungle than Youngest Lay. It's not it. But in that one game, I think Regidice played better, and he looked like the best player in the entire tournament. I don't think they went undefeated. His team, he was the best performer on that team. And he made his other players look better from the jungle role. I mean, that's part of the reason that I didn't have Equivalent up in second like you guys did. In most games that I watched, and part of it's because Equivalent played the lane good. Don't get me wrong. I think you have to set up ganks. You're not just there. But Regidice and Equivalent won every 2v2, and Regidice was there ganking his lane and getting him ahead 24/7. It felt, in the game I played against them, it felt impossible to play against the both of them together. So
Bro, I just couldn't play the game. I agree with you. I just couldn't play the game against them. Like, I'd walk the lane and, like, Reggie's there, and I'm just like, I'm just dead again, aren't I?
I was about to kill Reggie, and then his mid laner came too. Like, I was about to kill their top laner, then kill Reggie, and then kill their mid laner, but the mid laner got there too soon. So it's clearly me, by far.
I think we should touch on Lokesh putting Youngest Lay and then close out with Fat Cow putting Fat Cow, because I think Fat Cow putting Fat Cow is the meat that we're waiting for.
All right, so I was originally going to put Regidice as MVP, but I don't know. I just remember, like, David played pretty much every topside role, and he did well in every topside role. And I think that just goes to show his versatility as a player in general. And I think that's enough of a reason for me to slightly give him the edge in the MVP standing and give it to him over Regidice.
See, I would agree with you until he got smacked by Regidice.
Until he got smashed by Regidice, yes, but he did play mid a few games, he did play top a few games, and he did play jungle a few games. He's been through the entire top side of the map, so that's like, even though he did get smashed by Regidice in the game that they played, I do have to give it to him for that one reason alone.
And you could argue that we are only looking at a best of one sample side between these two players. A best of 3 or a best of 5 could go completely differently. Now we can talk about the ego check of Fat Cow putting Fat Cow as the MVP predictor.
I don't know how you could put anyone else. It does not even cross my mind.
He was the best top laner for sure.
And top lane is obviously the most important role to ever have graced this game.
I think it was legitimately. I think Fat Cow was pretty close. I don't think he was that far away, and perhaps playoffs he'll prove that he is the MVP.
Might be different in playoffs.
Exactly. I think that Regidice was better. I don't know how you can be the best player on the undefeated team and not be the MVP, but I do think that Fat Cow played pretty good, and he should definitely be in the conversation. I don't think it's trolling to put himself there, even if I think it's pretty clearly Regidice.
It was close. The game against Mop had gone a little bit more second more my way. Y'all would be on my side as well. But it's definitely me. How many 1v2s has Regidice won?
Probably a bunch. Probably a bunch.
You know, you can't even name them. Probably.
Difficult.
That's not definitely. I've won at least 3.
We'll have to have production pull any possible clips of Regidice winning 1v2s, but much more unlikely to happen when you're a jungler. Normally a 2v2 or a 2v1 will be what you're entering into.
So obviously, clearly the lesser role.
It's just much more difficult to play top lane, of course. Top lane is chess, jungle is checkers. I think that's all we need to talk about. We've established our MVPs. We've established our rankings. Is there anything else before we run it down?
Yes.
Closing?
There is. We are going to go ahead and talk about the playoffs. Quick touch on the format, and then we're going to do some playoff predictions here. So, I think. Unless I'm just wrong.
That's what I'm here for. I kind of just called.
So far, I've nailed every prediction, so this is where I really shine. Not that my player rankings aren't perfect; they obviously are. If you disagree with me, you're trolling. But these are where this is just my stuff. I'm gonna destroy it here. These predictions, they are set in stone. I have read the future. It's fine. 14 million outcomes, and this is the one where I get them all right.
My player predictions to get to my playoff prediction.
There you go.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about playoffs now, starting with the Gauntlet, which should happen fairly soon once those games are scheduled. Ramley versus Bambi's Baskets is the first game of that. Remember, Gauntlet games are best of 1. How are you feeling going into this Red Lightning? What are your chances?
Okay, so I think 50-50 is perfectly accurate for this game. I think that Ramley looked like the worst team in the second half of the season. After their first 2 wins, they did not look like a good team. So, but then again, Bambi's Baskets looked bad all season. And I think they actually looked better slightly. I think Bambi's Baskets, despite going 0-4, looked better in the beginning of the season than they did by the end. So, I think this is a true 50-50. I do think right now, like at this snapshot in time, these are the 2 worst teams. But I think it's 50-50, and I think any of these teams actually between round 1, 2, and 3, all these teams tied for last place, so and all took games off of each other. So I think any of these games here could be completely 50-50. Minus Wooloo, yeah, until you get to the qualification round. So I think that if I have to make a prediction, see, now I'm getting into the trick. Do I trust in myself? I'll take Bambi's Baskets here. I'll take myself. I'll give it to me this time. We win versus Ramley. Just setting my self-esteem up to get crushed once more. It's fine.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Ramley's completely mental boomed. 8-game losing streak. It's hard to get over. And I think it's going to turn into 9. I also think they're going to win the Gump Squad game as well. Didn't you beat Gump Squad, or my
We did beat Gum Squad. We actually beat Gum Squad and Apes in the regular season, but Apes did beat us in the tiebreaker round in the one bottom half tiebreaker game that was played. So, just a little background info there.
I think that I think you're going to make it through Ramley and you're making it through Gum Squad, but then Apes Together Strong is going to beat you, and then I'm gonna say Apes Together Strong actually beats Wooloo Gang. That's my bold prediction.
Apes Together Strong beating Wooloo Gang. That is a
make it into playoffs
take from the last couple weeks of playoffs, and that would put them against Washington League Ball team in the initial round 1. Wisher is actually complaining about that right now, saying that he should be against Rams of Love due to the seeding.
This isn't the NFL. We don't do that here.
I just want to say, if Apes do make it out of Gauntlet, Pooh has said he will eat dog food on stream. So
let's go Apes,
dude!
Let's go Apes.
This finals pregame show is about to be crazy.
So we're gonna have WAP stream live featuring Dane, and Tristan will make a small cameo to start it off, and then we'll have Pooh eating dog food.
That I can't wait. He can eat one piece of dog food for every time he said my predictions were wrong and I was right. So he's gonna be eating a big bowl. Yeah, I think Bambi's. I think we take Ramley. I think we take Gum Squad. I think we lose. I'm agreeing with Dane here. Actually, I think we lose to Apes, but I do, despite how much I want Apes to win, I think Wooloo Gang wins and makes it to the actual playoffs.
I think Wisher's complaining about being placed into the first round of, or the initial winner. Excuse me, playing against Mop in the second round, but he does. You don't see it here, but the losers bracket, he gets an extra place forward compared to the winners semifinal 2.
I just want to say I did make a small mistake when making the winners bracket. So there's like opposite seeding, right? So initial round 1 winner goes to winner semifinal 2, and then round 2 winner goes to winner semifinal 1. So I did make a slight mistake when I'm making the bracket. So
Washington League Ball team, if winning, they would
they
go
will play
against Rams of Love.
Yeah, they will play Rams of Love.
It has been fixed. The panic is over. And Lokesh, how about you give your prediction? I don't think you've said your gauntlet winner.
I'm gonna give my gauntlet winner to Wooloo Gang. I mean, I just think they look the best out of the teams that are in the gauntlet, and I have nothing else to say about that.
Yeah, there's a clear drop off. I'm rooting for the underdog here. Just
I'm rooting for the underdog. I'm rooting for the underdogs, obviously, but I think Wooloo Gang is going to be the gauntlet winner. Yeah.
Now, should we talk about the finals winner? Should we run it through the entire bracket?
We can.
Yeah.
We can.
So that would be Wooloo Gang. Say Lokesh is right. Wooloo Gang into Washington League Ball team and Forehead versus 2D Sim Squad.
I think it's going to be the same for either Apes Together Strong or Wooloo Gang. I don't think either of them are going to get through the Washington League Ball team. I think League Ball team is going to wipe the floor with either of those teams.
I feel like that one's going to be a quick 2-0 for League Ballers, and then
I think
Forehead versus 2D Sim Squad. Dane, if you'd like to go first.
I think it's going to be even quicker 2-0. Like they haven't shown.
Oh my god, man! And I'm trying to give you some respect, saying it'll be a 2-1 either way.
I don't think it's going to be a 2-0 or 2-1 either way.
As much as I love the Sims, I agree with Dane. Forehead cleans that game up pretty quick. They can't even
troll harder than I can.
Could you possibly, Dane, give a prediction of possibly Lokesh's KDA during his series versus
0.6.
0.6?
Oh my god, man.
That's fair. That's honest and fair.
What, do I go 6-10-0 or do I go 0-10-6?
0.6.
I'll give him 1.6. I think he loses, but he gets a positive KDA.
SMH.
I'm going to beat him in the side lane, and Lokesh in the side lane meme's going to get ruined.
Is Lokesh brave enough to roll swap with his top laner to go up against Dane?
He's going to go jungle and try to camp me, and it's not going to work.
Dane, I'm going to pick Fiora against you. Just wait up. You said it was going to be a quick 2-0, so it'll be a quick 2-0. I'll pick Fiora.
You don't know how to play Fiora, though. I can play Aatrox into your Fiora. It'll be fine.
Dude, I'm going to clap you on Fiora. I'm going to clap you on Fiora, and then I'm going to clap you on
play
Camille.
Your Camille, man. Your Camille's broken.
I'm going to clap you on Fiora game 1. I'm going to clap you on Fiora. I'm going to clap you on Camille game 2. You heard it here.
Okay. See ya.
We can move on to the semifinals because there is a unanimous agreement of Washington League Ball team and Forehead moving on. So let's talk about Rams of Love.
Agreement?
It's 2-1.
Okay, fine. Look, give your prediction.
It might not be unanimous.
Okay, Dane disrespected
correct.
me, so we're gonna clap Forehead 2-0.
Remember when I said I could see into the future? It might not be unanimous, but we know who the winner is already.
No, we're the winners. Dane said a quick 2-0, so yeah, it's gonna be a quick 2-0 for 2D. It's
gonna be a quick 2-0. I'm telling you.
It's gonna be a quick 2-0, but I think if it's a 2-1, Forehead still win and 2D Sim Squad get a game. I think Forehead might lose game 1, and then come back and win the next 2. But I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be a quick 2-0 for Forehead.
Now
it's a Forehead 2.0.
Do we think that either of these teams in the initial round 2 is able to take on Monka, Omega, Pepega?
Yeah, Forehead's going to 2-0 them too. Actually, no, I'll give it a 2-1. I actually like their team.
No.
2-1 Forehead for that game.
2-0 Monka. It's like the difference everywhere. The team diff is just too big for Monka.
My team's come together real nice now, and we're not going to have make the same mistakes we did before. We have a plan.
I'm really, really, really rooting for Forehead 2.0, and I'm glad this is a this is a 2-round elimination, right? Like there's a losers bracket. So, right, Lukash, am I right?
Yeah, there's a losers bracket.
Okay,
There is
so I'm
a
glad
losers
there's a
bracket.
losers bracket because I'm a big Forehead 2.0 fan, but they will not make it past MOP after they beat 2D Sim Squad. They might meet MOP again in the finals. I think they'll have a better try. They'll have a better run against Rams of Love, but MOP is my finals favorite. I'd be surprised if they drop a game until finals, and honestly I'd be surprised if they drop a game in finals. So they're gonna win that game. I think Washington League Ball Team and Rams of Love will be hype. It'll be awesome. Wandon said that all along that League Ball Team was better than Rams of Love. He did lose that game though to Youngest Slay playing mid lane. So it's hype. I can agree with some arguments that maybe the League Ball Team is the better team. We'll have to see. I'd like to see a best of 3. I think that's the one game that actually has a really good chance of going to an actual 3-game series. So that'll be super hype. But
I think League Ball takes that 2-1.
I'm gonna edge it to Rams because I think if Youngest Lay goes mid, it nullifies like one of the League Ball Team's biggest strengths. But like I said, it's definitely a 2-1 series, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if League Ball Team won it. But I think Rams of Love take it.
I think I'm gonna go with Washington League Ball Team 2-1 in that game.
No elaboration?
They're super close. Even if Youngest Slay goes mid, I think Wisher has the ability to go even or even win that lane, but he has to prove it.
I think he has the ability. I just don't know if it'll happen.
I'm in the same boat, just leaning the other side.
This one is more up in the air than the other side of the bracket, except for Dane, of course. Rams of Love and Washington League Ball Team. Could either of them beat MOP or Forehead? We'll start off with Lokesh.
I think Rams of Love looks way more beatable than MOP at the moment. I mean, we could obviously upsets do exist. There could be like a lot of there's a lot of downtime before MOP and Rams of Love play, right? And in that time, other teams can get a good time of a good amount of practice in, right? So there's always a potential for an upset. But if we're just looking statistically, I don't think MOP really looks that beatable. I mean, they have shown some weaknesses here and there versus certain teams, but Rams of Love look way more beatable than MOP. So if there's a team that is going to go down in the semifinals, it will be Rams of Love.
I think Forehead has the best chance of beating MOP because I think MOP's only real weakness is their top lane. I don't think DMG Prodigy has looked super good. That's not his main role, I don't think. So I think that's kind of why. But I think he looks on a team that really doesn't have any weak links. I just think that is the weakest one, even if it's not necessarily weak. And I think that Forehead has the best chance of exploiting that because they have the best top laner. So, but I don't think they win. I just think they have the best chance. Rams definitely does look more beatable because they've been beaten, and MOP hasn't, so that's something. Rams has lost 2 games, won 2 MOP, and then they lost 1 game where they were definitely a little bit cocky. They left the Zoe up, and Youngest Lace thought he could take on Zoe Deschanel Zoe, and thought wrong. So,
he's not Zoe Deschanel anymore. Spencer has officially changed his name to something else. He has some insider info for you guys. He has told me that he is going to reinvigorate himself into I shouldn't say reinvigorate. What should I say? He's gonna make sure he's reborn from the ashes. Reinvent himself as a player during the preseason. He will no longer be a Zoe one trick. So he has changed his name to SWATSEC. SWATSEC. So I will make that change in the docs soon enough. But yeah, he will revive himself as a player.
I'll believe it when I see it. As of right now, his Zoe looks monstrous. It looks insane. His Zoe performance, hands down, this game, best performance of any player the entire tournament. Every other game he's played, be it jungle or mid, did not look very good. So, I think there's a bit. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him become a more complete player. But, like I said, gonna have to see it before I believe it. But yeah, the whole point was, I think Rams of Love does look beatable. Like I said, I think they could actually lose to Washington League Ball Team. I still favor them, but they definitely, of the 2 teams, they definitely look the more beatable team. So if I'm having to get into a semifinals game, I want to play against Rams, not Mop.
Now,
I want
Dane,
Mop. Bring Mop on. I can beat him.
well, let's say you beat Mop in the winter semifinals, as you predict. You will be going up against Rams of Love or Washington League Ball team. Are those also 2-0s for the winners?
It's in the best of 5. I think it's be a 3-1.
I think
I have respect for those teams. The teams above us, I have respect for. They're actually good. They can compete with us, but I don't. I think I'm really looking forward to playing the Washington League Ball team again. That's who I'd prefer to play. We didn't actually have a full game. We had a sub in that game. Our star mid laner was out for some reason. I forget what. We had to sub someone in. It was not fair. So I'm looking for another crack at them, and I think we can beat them 3-2, 3-1.
should
Well,
be
Lowe's a little
pretty.
harder,
Dane is
though.
talking big. I'm excited.
What else can you do? Like, you gotta go big or go home.
True.
This is VCU LCS.
Stakes are higher than Worlds. Just saying.
Very difficult to not root for the Forehead 2.0 at this point.
I'm a Forehead stan.
You said I was on a high from winning. Yeah, I am. We've won 4 or 5 straight.
Now,
We're
how
popping off.
about we get any final thoughts on the playoffs? Anything else that you guys wanted to touch on either the standings of the playoffs or the bracket?
I just want to say, good job. If you're watching the stream, good job on drafting the most OP team, but fuck you for dropping out of the tournament.
Yeah, he actually, it was all part of his strategy. I'm pretty sold. He drafted a really, really good team. I did think it was the best team in the tournament still with him on it.
And
But he said,
subbed out a better player.
He's like, what really completes this team? And he was like, who can I improve the most on? And he said, wait, it's me. And just poof. So he made the best team by leaving. So good for him, I guess. But yeah, wish you had stayed to play because that would have made your team at least slightly more balanced. I think the tune in for finals, please, guys. When we get to it, it's still going to be a little ways off, but it's going to be hype. The most hype part of it might be the pregame final show with the web stream because we all know it's going to be a MOP 3-0. But hey, it's fine. It's going to be hype. Tune in then. Tune in for all of our playoff games. They'll be casted. They'll be streamed. We'll all be here suffering through our seasonal depression. Come on back and see us.
Indeed.
The top league in the top esports league still playing in the United States, in the world. In the world. Now that Worlds is over, this is the premier League of Legends that you can watch.
There's a lot of excitement coming up, a lot of high octane competition, and I think we can call that a show. We've covered everything that needs to be covered. Anything for a new viewer to know going into the intense VCU, LCS, playoff bracket. I've been Connor. We have Dane. We have Lokesh. And we have Red Lightning. And I think that's it.
Yes, sir.
Forehead 2-0.
Shout out
That
to
is-
Carouse for making the slides.
Forehead 2-0.
Shout out to Carouse for making the slides.
Let's go,
Bambi's
Carouse.
Baskets TSM gauntlet run to finals.
Hopefully not a
You heard it
TSM
here.
World run.
No. This is TSM playoff run, and this is TSM playoff run how it should have gone, where they go to the bottom, the losers bracket of gauntlet, and then they just get 3-0'd by Dig. So
Let's go.
get ready to watch Bambi's Baskets lose in the round 1 of gauntlet. What?
All right, peace out, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.